Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. I'm Sandy, and today we have a really exciting topic that will help you feel confident when talking about your job in English. Whether you're a student, a professional, or between jobs, this episode will give you the tools to talk about your work with ease.
That's right, Sandy. Today, we're diving into job-related vocabulary, how to describe your work schedule, and how to talk about what you do in a way that sounds natural and clear in English. We'll also explore some phrases for dream jobs and workplace experiences that will make your conversations feel more interesting.
Let's get started. The most common question when you meet someone is, "What do you do?" This is a simple way to ask about someone's job or profession.
So let's begin with the basic structure for talking about your job. When someone asks, "What do you do?" you can answer using this structure. I am a, and your job. For example, I am a teacher. I am a doctor. I am an engineer.
It's that simple. But remember, you need to use an if your job starts with vowel sound, like an artist or an engineer. And if it's a consonant sound, you use a, like I am a nurse, I am a lawyer.
Perfect. Now, when talking about where you work, you can use different prepositions. I work in, I work at, I work for.
That's right. Let's break it down. If you work in a field or a location, like a school or hospital, you'd say, I work in a hospital. I work in marketing.
If you work at a specific place, like a company or an office, you can say, I work at a bank. I work at Google.
And finally, if you work for a company or organization, you could say, I work for Apple. I work for a startup.
All right, let's dive deeper into describing your job in English. When someone asks, "What do you do?" we often think about our job title first, right? But there's more to it than just saying, "I'm a teacher" or "I'm a doctor." You can go beyond the job title and add more details about what you actually do and your job.
Exactly. Let's say someone asks, "What do you do?" You can start with, "I am a graphic designer." But then you can expand and explain what you work on, like, "I create logos and design for websites."
Right. It's always good to share a bit about your responsibilities or what your job involves. So let's say someone asks about my job and I say, "I'm a nurse." I could go on to say, "I work in the emergency department, helping patients who need immediate care." It helps the listener understand exactly what I do.
Exactly, Sandy. It gives more context to the job. For example, if I'm a teacher, I could say, I am a high school English teacher. I teach literature and grammar to 11th graders.
That's a great example, Patrick. By adding details like the subjects you teach or the age group you work with, you give people a better idea of what your job is all about. And it doesn't always have to be formal either. If you work in a relaxed job like a barista, you could say, "I work as a barista at a coffee shop. I make coffee and serve customers, and I love the friendly atmosphere there."
Exactly. Even if your job is more casual, like being a waiter or a bartender, you can describe what you enjoy about it. For example, if I work as a waiter, I might say, "I work as a waiter at a busy restaurant. I take orders, serve food, and chat with customers." It's a fun job because I get to meet so many people.
I love that. Even if your job can be stressful or challenging, you can talk about it in a way that shows how you manage or how it's rewarding. For example, I might say, "Being a nurse is tiring, but it's also very rewarding. I love helping people and making a difference."
And you can also describe the environment where you work. For example, if you work in a fast-paced environment, you might say, "I work in a hospital. It's a fast-paced environment, and I'm always on my feet."
That's great. It gives the listener a clear idea of the pace and the demand of your job. And if you work in a more relaxed environment, you can describe it too. For instance, I could say, I work in a small office. It's a calm atmosphere and I get to work with a close-knit team.
Exactly. Describing your work environment adds color to your job description. If you work for a large company, you might say, I work for a large tech company. It's very dynamic and we're always working on cutting-edge projects.
And for someone who works from home, you could say, I work from home as a freelance writer. It's very flexible and I love that I can work in my pajamas. That paints a picture of the freedom and flexibility of your job.
That's a great example. And it's important to talk about the challenges of your job as well. Maybe you work as a lawyer and you could say, I'm a lawyer and it's often stressful, especially when I have tight deadlines.
Exactly. Talking about the challenges makes your job seem more real and relatable. If you're a doctor, you might say, being a doctor can be stressful, but it's rewarding to help people get better.
And even if your job is easy, it's okay to mention that too. For example, if you're a cashier, you might say, I work as a cashier at a grocery store. It's easy work, but I enjoy meeting new people every day.
That's right. Every job has its own unique characteristics, and talking about them helps people understand your role better. It's also a great way to show enthusiasm for your work, no matter what you do.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that you can always use adjectives to express how you feel about your job. For example, I work in customer service, and it can be stressful at times, but I love helping people. Or I'm a feature and it's really fulfilling. It's challenging, but I enjoy making a difference in my students' lives.
Great. You can express your feelings, whether it's about the rewards or the challenges of your job. It's all about finding the right words to explain what you do, how you feel about it, and why you enjoy it.
Exactly. And let's not forget to talk about your work schedule. You can mention if you work full-time, part-time, or remotely. For example, I work full-time at a bank. I work part-time at a restaurant. Or I work remotely as a software developer.
Those are great examples. It helps the listener understand how much time you dedicate to your job. And for those who are between jobs, you could say, I'm currently between jobs and looking for new opportunities.
Yes, exactly. And don't forget, it's perfectly okay to mention your dream job. If someone asked you about your career goals, you could say, my dream job is to be a travel photographer. I love to travel the world and capture beautiful moments.
I love that. Talking about your dream job is a great way to show your ambition and passion. It also gives you a chance to express your future goals in English.
Now let's talk about describing your job. It's helpful to use adjectives that tell people how your job feels. For example, if your job is tiring, you might say, my job is really tiring. If your job is stressful, you could say, being a nurse is stressful but rewarding.
That's exactly right. And if you want to describe your job as something you enjoy, you can use words like fine or interesting. For example, my job is fun because I get to meet new people every day. I work in a creative field, and it's really interesting.
But if your job isn't as exciting and maybe a bit boring, you could say, my job is a bit boring, but it pays the bills.
That's true. Everyone has different experiences with their jobs, so feel free to use any of these adjectives to describe how you feel. You might also use words like easy, challenging, or rewarding to describe your job.
And if you want to talk about a more positive or negative aspect of your job, you can use, my job is very creative. Or you can say, my job is very stressful.
All right, Patrick, now that we've covered the basics of describing your job title, let's move on to something a bit deeper. Describing your job experience. This is where you can really get into the details of what you do day to day and share what you like or dislike about your job.
Exactly, Sandy.
Talking about your job experience gives others a better understanding of how your role works and what you do on a daily basis. It's also a great way to express how you feel about your job, whether you find it challenging, rewarding, or even boring.
Yes, yes. You can start by explaining how you feel about your job. For example, let's say I work as a teacher. I could say, being a teacher is really rewarding. I get to help students grow and learn, which make me feel fulfilled.
That's a great example. If you're talking about something challenging, you could say something like, my job as a waiter can be tiring. I'm always on my feet, and sometimes it gets really busy, but it's worth it because I meet interesting people every day.
Exactly. If your job has ups and downs, you can talk about both. Maybe if you work in a hospital, you could say, being a nurse is challenging, especially in the emergency room, but it's also very rewarding to help patients in critical situations.
Right. It's important to be honest about how you feel, but also to highlight the positive aspects of your job. If your job is boring at times, you could say, I work in an office job that can get a little boring, especially with all the paperwork, but I enjoy the people I work with.
Yes, and that's where you can use adjectives to really describe your experience. For example, my job is very stressful, but I love the challenges it brings. Or, I find my job as a graphic designer really fun because I get to be creative every day.
Those adjectives really make a difference. Let's say someone works in marketing. They might say, I work in marketing, and it's fast-paced and exciting. Every day is different, and I get to come up with new ideas.
That sounds exciting. If you work in a creative field, you might say something like, I work as a photographer, and it's a great job because I can capture beautiful moments. It's tiring at times, especially with the long shoots, but the results are worth it.
It's interesting how the adjectives we choose can really shape the way we talk about our jobs. Even if your job is demanding, you can focus on the parts you love. For example, someone in customer service might say, my job can be tiring because I'm on the phone all day, but I really enjoy helping customers find solutions to their problems.
Exactly. That's a perfect example of finding the balance between the hard parts and the rewarding parts of your job. And let's not forget, personal growth is an important part of your job experience. If you feel you've learned a lot, you can say, I've learned so much in my role as a project manager. I've gained skills in leadership, communication, and problem solving.
Yes, it's great to highlight the skills and knowledge you've gained through your work. For example, if you're a software developer, you could say, my job has helped me improve my coding skills. I've become much better at working with different programming languages.
That's an excellent point. It's important to show growth when talking about your job. Even if you're in a position that might seem basic, you can talk about how you've developed in the role. For example, I started as a junior designer, but now I lead design projects. It's been great to see my skills grow.
Right, Sandy. Even if you're still learning, you can highlight the progress you've made. For example, someone just starting out in a sales position might say, I'm still learning the ropes, but I'm getting better at communicating with clients and closing deals.
Exactly. It's all about framing your experience in a positive light. Even if your job has some challenges or parts you don't enjoy, you can always focus on what you're learning and the skills you're gaining.
And remember, honesty is key. If you're working in a job that's not quite what you expected, it's okay to say that. For example, I thought working as a designer would be more creative, but it's mostly about editing photos and fixing other people's designs. It's not as exciting as I imagined, but I'm learning a lot about the technical side of design.
That's a great point. Being honest about your job experience is important because it shows authenticity. And if you're ever looking for a new job or speaking to someone in a more professional setting, this kind of honesty can be valuable too.
Exactly. Being open about your job experience, whether it's the good or the challenging, shows that you are reflective and self-aware. And that's a valuable skill in any career.
Absolutely. So let's wrap up with some examples of how you can describe your job experience in different scenarios. If you're having a casual conversation, you could say, I'm a software engineer and I love coding. It's challenging at times, but I enjoy solving problems.
Or if you're in an interview, you might say something like, I've been working as a marketing manager for 3 years. I've gained experience in digital advertising and content creation, and I'm always looking for ways to explore my strategies.
Perfect examples. Now it's your turn. Think about how you would describe your job experience in English. What adjectives would you use? What aspects of your job do you enjoy, and what challenges do you face?
Exactly. The more you practice, the more confident you'll feel describing your job. Remember, it's all about being clear, honest, and adding a little personal touch to your job description.
Next up, let's talk about work schedules. There are different types of schedules that you might have at work. Let's start with full-time. A full-time job is usually about 40 hours a week. You might say, I work full-time at a law firm.
Exactly. Then we have part-time. If you work fewer hours, you're probably working part-time. You could say, I work part-time as a barista. I'm looking for a part-time job.
That's right. Now, let's talk about remote work. If you work from home, you can say, I work from home. I'm a remote worker.
Remote work has become really common these days, especially with the pandemic. And if you're between jobs, meaning you're unemployed and looking for work, you can say, I'm between jobs right now.
That's a polite way to say you don't have a job at the moment, but are actively looking for one. And if you're a student or a stay-at-home parent, you can describe your job like this. I'm a student. I'm a stay-at-home mom or dad.
All right, Patrick. Now that we've talked about describing your job and your job experience, let's dive into another important part of talking about your work, describing your work schedule.
Yes, Sandy. Talking about your work hours and how much time you spend at your job is really important. Whether you work full-time, part-time, or remotely, there are different ways to explain your work schedule in English. It's a great way to give someone more insight into how you organize your time.
Exactly. Let's start with full-time. If you work full-time, you typically work around 40 hours a week. You can say something like, I work full-time at a law firm.
Right. If you work full-time, it's a 40-hour work week. But you can also mention your work hours. For example, I work full-time from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. This lets people know exactly when you're working each day.
And if you're talking to someone who works full-time but has different hours, you can adjust accordingly. For example, I work full-time, but my hours are flexible. I start at 10 a.m. and finish around 6 p.m.
That's a good point. Flexibility is becoming more common in today's workplaces. And if you're talking about a full-time job that's not typical, like in healthcare or retail, you might say, I work full-time in a hospital, but my shifts change every week.
That's a great example, Patrick. Now, let's talk about part-time. If you work fewer hours than full-time, you're working part-time. For example, I work part-time at a coffee shop on weekends.
Exactly. Part-time jobs usually involve working fewer hours than 40 hours a week, and the hours can be spread out however the employer wants. You might say, I work part-time as a tutor, about 20 hours a week.
Nice. And if you have a part-time job with a flexible schedule, you could say, I work part-time from home. I set my own hours, usually around 15 hours a week.
That's a good example. And sometimes people work multiple part-time jobs. For instance, someone might say, I work part-time at a bookstore and also part-time at a restaurant.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about remote work, a very popular option these days. If you work from home or anywhere outside of a traditional office, you could say, I work remotely as a web developer, or I work from home as a freelance graphic designer.
Remote work is awesome, especially for people who want more flexibility. If you're working remotely, you could explain your schedule like this. I work from home and have a flexible schedule. I usually work in the mornings, but I take breaks during the day.
That's a great example, Patrick. It's important to mention the flexibility that comes with remote work because it's one of the main benefits.
Exactly. And if your work is completely self-scheduled, you could say something like, I'm a freelance writer, so I create my own schedule. Some days I work a lot, and other days I take it easy.
Love that. The flexibility of remote work is a huge plus for many people. But what about someone who's between jobs or is currently unemployed? How do you describe that?
Good question. If you're between jobs or looking for work, you might say something like, I'm between jobs right now. I'm looking for new opportunities.
That's a polite and professional way to explain that you're unemployed. Another way could be, I'm currently not working, but I'm searching for a full-time job.
Exactly. And if you're a student or stay-at-home parent, your schedule is different too. For example, I'm a full-time student right now, so I'm focusing on my studies. Or I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I take care of the house and my children full-time.
Yes, even though you're not in a traditional job, it's still a full-time commitment. And when you're talking to someone about your work schedule, it's great to highlight the balance in your life. For example, I work part-time, but I also have time to take care of my family and enjoy my hobbies.
That's a wonderful way to put it. Now, what about someone who has a flexible schedule or rotating shifts? Maybe you work in healthcare or retail where your hours change frequently.
Good point. If your schedule is rotating, you might say, I work as a nurse and I have rotating shifts. Some weeks I work mornings and other weeks I work nights.
Yes, and sometimes people have unusual work hours like evening shifts or weekends. You could say something like, I work as a bartender, so I usually work in the evenings and weekends.
That's a perfect example. It's important to mention your work schedule because it helps people understand when you're available and what your day-to-day life is like.
Exactly. And don't forget about mentioning any overtime or extra hours you work. For example, you can say something like, I work full-time, but I often have to work overtime to meet deadlines.
Yes, some jobs require extra time now and then. For instance, someone working in retail might say, I work part-time, but during the holidays, I pick up extra shifts.
Exactly. And don't forget about some jobs also have on-call hours. If you're a doctor or a technician, you could say, I work in a hospital and sometimes I'm on call during the night.
Great point. On-call hours are important to mention because it shows that your work hours might not always be predictable.
Right. Whether you're working full-time, part-time, remotely, or with flexible hours, it's all about communicating your schedule clearly. This helps others understand how much time you dedicate to your job and what your availability looks like.
Let's move on to something exciting, your dream job. This is the great conversation starter. You can say, my dream job is to be a travel writer. Or, I've always wanted to be a pilot.
Yes, talking about your dream job can open up a fun conversation. It's a chance to imagine the future and share your goals with others. For example, my dream job is to work as a photographer for National Geographic.
And even if you're not currently in your dream job, sharing it can show your passion and motivation. It's a great way to connect with others and practice using future tense sentences like, I hope to be a teacher someday. All right, Patrick, now we're going to talk about something exciting, your dream job. This is one of my favorite topics because it's a great way to express your passions and goals in English. Whether it's something you're working towards or just imagining, your dream job can say a lot about you. Yes, talking about your dream job is not only fun, but it also lets you practice future tenses in English, which is super important. You can use phrases like, I want to be, my dream job is, or even, I hope to become. These are great for talking about your future career.
Exactly. Let's dive in with a simple question. What's your dream job? This is a question people ask when they want to know about your future aspirations. For example, I could say, my dream job is to be a travel writer.
I love to explore new places and write about my experiences.
That sounds amazing. If I were to answer that question, I might say my dream job is to be a pilot. I've always been fascinated by aviation and love the idea of traveling the world. You see, we're using the phrase my dream job is to describe what we'd love to do.
Exactly. Talking about your dream job gives you the chance to express your passions and what makes you excited about the future. For example, if someone asks me, "What's your dream job?" I could say, "I want to be a photographer for National Geographic." I love photography and nature, so this would be the perfect job for me.
That's a fantastic dream job. When talking about your dream job, you can also explain why you feel that way. For example, I want to be a lawyer because I'm passionate about justice and helping people. Or my dream job is to be an actor because I love performing and telling stories.
Great examples, Patrick. It's important to express both what your dream job is and why it's meaningful to you. This way, the conversation becomes more engaging. If your dream job involves something creative, you can say, "I've always dreamed of being a musician because music has been such a huge part of my life."
Exactly. And let's not forget that it's totally okay to dream big. For instance, someone might say, "My dream job is to be the CEO of a huge tech company. I want to make a big impact in the world of technology."
That's awesome. Dreaming big is what helps us stay motivated. Even if we're not in our dream job yet, talking about it can inspire us to take the steps needed to get there. So let's practice. If someone asks you, "What's your dream job?" how would you answer?
Let's give them a moment to think about it. All right. If I were asking you, Sandy, what's your dream job?
I'd say my dream job is to be a travel photographer. I love capturing beautiful moments, and I love to combine my passion for travel with my love for photography.
That's a great answer. Now, let's hear from our listeners. What's your dream job? Think about it for a moment and describe it in English. You can use phrases like, "My dream job is," or "I would love to be."
Exactly. And remember, the more you talk about your dream job, the more comfortable and fluent you'll become at expressing your passions and future goals.
Now it's time for some practice. Let's imagine you're at a party and someone asks you, "What do you do?" Here's how you could respond. "I work as a marketing manager at a tech company."
And if someone asks about your job experience, you could say, "My job is interesting, but can be stressful at times."
If they want to know more about your work schedule, you could say, "I work full-time from Monday to Friday." Or if you work part-time in a cafe on weekends.
And when it comes to talking about your dream job, you could say, "My dream job is to become a travel blogger and explore the world."
Let's do one more. Now that we've practiced talking about our dream jobs, let's do some conversation practice to help you feel more confident when talking about your job or career in English.
Yes, let's do a role play. I'll ask you a question and you can respond. Then you can practice asking someone else the same question. Let's start with the basics. What do you do? I'm going to ask you, Sandy. Ready?
I'm ready. I'm a graphic designer. I create logos and designs for websites. I really enjoy the creative process.
Great. Now you can practice with someone else. Ask them, "What do you do?" and listen carefully to the response. If they ask you back, you can use the same response you practiced.
Exactly, Patrick. Now let's move on to the next question. I'll ask you, what's your dream job?
All right, here is my answer. My dream job is to be a pilot. I've always wanted to fly, and I think it would be amazing to travel around the world while doing something I love.
That sounds awesome. Now it's your turn to practice. If someone asks you about your dream job, answer with, "My dream job is," and then describe what you'd love to do. Don't worry if it's not perfect, just express yourself.
Let's practice one more question. If you're having a conversation with someone about your job experience, you might be asked,
How long have you been working as a job? I'll answer for you, Sandy. I've been working as a teacher for 5 years now. It's been such a rewarding experience.
Great answer, Patrick. Now you try it with your job. If you've been working in your role for a while, you can say, I've been working as a job for number of years.
Exactly. And don't forget to add details about what you enjoy about your job or what you've learned. For example, I've been a software developer for 3 years, and I've learned so much about coding and problem solving.
Great practice, Patrick. Now, let's switch things up a bit. What if someone asks you about the challenges of your job? You can use sentences like, my job is stressful at times, especially when we have tight deadlines. Or sometimes my job can be boring, but I like the stability it provides.
Yes, it's totally okay to talk about the difficult aspects of your job as long as you're balanced. For example, you could say, my job can be tiring, but I enjoy the challenges it brings.
Exactly. You can be honest and share both the positive and negative sides of your job. The goal is to sound natural and confident when talking about your experiences.
And that's a wrap for today's episode. We hope you feel more confident talking about your job in English. Remember, practice makes perfect, so keep using these phrases whenever you get the chance.
Exactly. Whether you're describing your job, your work schedule, or even your dream job, these phrases will help you communicate clearly and confidently in English.
Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Keep practicing and keep improving your English. Goodbye for now.